So we just had you guys go do an assessment, a drill, a game. You guys follow me in that? A very basic, very easy, very game. Okay. And if you look at what I have up on the board here, back behind you guys, this is chip. The top line on that is chip percent up and down. Okay. For given handicaps. So if you went and played a round of golf, you kept your stats in the golf course and you were hitting a chip. Okay. Doesn't give you distance. You're hitting a chip. So it's not a high shot that stops fast. It's a shot you're hitting up. You want to roll out a little bit. Okay. For 30 handicap, they're going to get up. You're going to get up and down 30% of the time. That means chip up and one putt in 30% of the time. 25 handicap, 38% of the time. 20 handicap, 45%. 15 handicap, 52%. 10 handicap, 60%. 5 handicap, 68%. Scratch, 75%. If you look at the difference, and we'll take this first. If you take that top line and you say, okay, what's that correlate to? It's about 3 to 4 shots per round that a scratch player will save over 30 handicap golfer in chipping alone. The 30 handicap golfer may skull one, may spat one, may chunk one, may have to chip it again. You guys follow me in that? That's about 3 to 4 shots around just in chipping. We're not talking pitching. We're not talking putting. We're just talking chipping. Okay. So if I said to you guys right now, I said, I want to know if your chipping part of the game is good or not. You walk up to me and say, I'm a 20 handicap golfer, but I got a pretty good short game. That's what I hear all the time. Okay. That means nothing. That means, what do you relating that to? Who are you correlating that to? That means nothing. I have a pretty good short game. What, compared to the guy who shoots 200 you play with? You guys follow me? I don't know. You guys follow me? Okay. But what this does is if you go play around the golf or you go play golf, you can say, every time I chipped, did I get it up or down? And if I did, I'm going to mark it. If I didn't, I'm going to say, okay, I didn't. And then at the end of the round, I'm going to say, I got up and down 1 out of 4 times. I'm 25% chipping. Okay. And let's say you're a 20 handicap golfer and you got 25% chipping. You realize, okay, I got to work on my chipping because I'm not near where I need to be. Does that make sense? Okay, now, but what we just did is because nobody keeps their stats. Last year, out of thousands of members that we have, we call for stats. Our coaches do. We had less than 20 turned in. You guys all follow me on that? And there's certain individuals that turn in like 5 to 10. They're the guys who did it. Okay. If you look at that next line, this is the drill, the assessment, the game we went and played. So what I had you guys go do is set 2 clubs down, 3 feet apart. You went 20 feet, you went 30 feet, you went 40 feet. 3 balls with a 9-iron from 20 feet, 3 balls with a gap wedge from 30 feet, 4 balls with the lob wedge from 40 feet, right? You went and did that drill. If you hit it in between the 2 clubs, if it landed in there, you got a point. If it landed short, it landed right, it landed left, it landed right, whatever. You didn't get in that zone, you didn't get a point. So how well did you guys score? Okay, 2, 1, 2, 3. Okay. So now you guys know what your handicap is, right? If you don't know a handicap, you shoot 100, it's about a 30. You shoot a 90, it's about a 20. You shoot an 80, it's about a 10. That's a rough way to say it, but that's for guys that don't keep their handicap. So you scored 2 or 3 points. So right now, by touch and feel and chipping, you're a 30 handicap or worse. So if you're a 20 handicap and you want to get to a 15 handicap, that's what you're saying. I want to just at least get to 15 in the next 2 or 3 months. And you only score 2 points in chipping. You're not even close to being a good chipper or having the right or having the ability to get there in your chipping alone. Does that make sense? That's what we do these assessments. And a side note is I've actually set up 12 of these to cover every area of the game that you can go take these assessments or these games and do them again and again and again. So my first question for you guys. So did anybody in here score over 4? Okay. Wasn't easy, was it? Really is pretty telling to show you how good your touch and feel is, isn't it? Okay. So here's the first question I have for you. Then I'm going to pull Paul into this. Was that easy or was that hard? The assessment you just did was easy or hard? You thought it was hard? Okay. Didn't score well, right? Okay. You thought it was okay. There was nothing hard about the assessment, but you didn't score well, right? You didn't. Okay. Okay. Do you think you could do better? Okay. Would you want to go try it again? Okay. But here's the problem. You won't. Because I've had these assessments out for 2 years, folks. They've been in on demand. They've been in level 4. They've been in level 3. They've been out for 2 years and nobody does them. Zero. Okay. And the reason when I ask the people that know they're out there and they do them and they've been out there and we called them the Elite Eight. We've called them 1,000 different things, folks. And they've been out there. And I've quantified them since the beginning of time, but they've been out there. People always say, did you just create that? No, been out there for a long time. This is stuff I did 20 years ago. This is stuff I monitored in my game for over 25 years. This is all stuff that we've done. I've just correlated it by age. I've correlated it by handicap. So it's very unique with Greatest Golf. Nobody else has this, but nobody does it. And so I go out there and ask why they don't do it. It comes down to 3 reasons. Number 1, laziness. I'm going to let that go. Okay. We're going to say that's not an issue here. And then issue number 2, issue number 3 is ego and expectations. Because when you go out there and say, man, I should be able to get 6 or 7 points, and you're only getting 2 or 3, and you do it again, and you only score 2 or 3, and you do it again, and you only score 3 or 4, and you do it again, maybe you get worse, you score 2 or 3. That old ego kicks in, doesn't it? And then we tend to what? Avoid doing them. So I'm going to bring in Paul, and we're going to talk about this, about the ego versus expectations. Because folks, I'm going to give you 2 things. Number 1, it's a great way to monitor what your game's doing. Number 2, if that's all you did, how much better would you get at chipping? If you did that every day, how long did it take you? 5 minutes? You didn't take it that long. You do it in your backyard. Am I right? I set that up so you can do it in your backyard. Okay, literally. Okay, take you 5 minutes. If it's all you did, do you have any idea how much you'd improve your chipping and how fast your scores would come down? It's scary, but you got to go through that process and you got to not let it beat you up or let the ego get in the way. And Paul has a phenomenal talk that he talks about leaving expectations in the trunk. I call it leave the ego and the expectations in the trunk.
Yeah, we'll say they're related.
Yeah, we'll say they're related. Yeah. And I want him to bring this up because I'm going to go to Paul now as the mental game guru, as the guy who I want help, and say, Paul, I did it for like a week and I just quit doing it. Okay, I just quit doing it because it got frustrating or whatever the word is for it. Okay, why? Tell me, how can I get through that? What can I do?
Yeah, I think part of this is really understanding that human beings, we're not that good at seeing ourselves as others see us. And that's just a long way of saying that we struggle sometimes understanding how good we really are. In fact, there's a pretty famous study, and it's known as the Dunning-Kruger effect. Doesn't matter what it's called, but there were studies done around this idea of like, all right, human beings, we are not that good of assessing ourselves. In fact, something like 75 to 80% of human beings, no matter the performance realm, will actually assess themselves as far, far better than they actually are. And so this phenomenon where, and you guys have all experienced this, where we're like, oh yeah, I'm a great driver of the golf ball. I'm a great putter. I'm a great chipper. And then we go and do an assessment and we step into this space where we have clear metrics and we try and measure ourselves. We always are worse than we think we are. And so what I love about this whole assessment idea is that it really brings us and puts right in front of us the objective reality. And I think that's where we have to be. If we want to elevate our skills, we have to be willing to step into a space where we are truly learning and elevating our skills. And this is really an important part of that.
People always ask me, they say, how did you create the short game you created? And how did you become the short game player you did? And I tell them that I practice it a lot. Yes. Do I enjoy practicing it? Yes. But for years, when I was playing on the mini tour, when I was playing on the tour, when I was playing even collegiate and amateur, I religiously on Monday would go out and do a series of about a half dozen to a dozen assessments at Hefner Golf Course on this short little area. And I'd assess my bunker play, I'd assess the chipping, I'd assess the pitching, long putts, short putts, and I would assess it and pick the 2 things that I was scoring the worst at for those 2. And those 2 areas I would focus on for the next 5 or 6 days. And that's all I would work on in the short game. No, yes, did I play golf? Did I hit balls? Absolutely I did. But I just hyper focus on those 2 areas. And then hoping that the next Monday when I came back in and tested myself again, that I would be better. Sometimes I was, sometimes I wasn't. And if I wasn't, I'd go do it again. And it wasn't very fun because there were sometimes I'd go in there, I scored very poorly and realized, okay, this is going to be hard to work on. This is no fun to work on because I'm not good at it. And I'm going to go on this green in front of all these people here, in front of hundreds of people. And they're going to watch me and be bad at this, but I'm going to go do it. I've got to go do this. And I did that continually. I did it again and again. And so what I ended up doing is it built my weakest areas up. And so, why would I go practice on my good shots? Why would I go to the good areas? Because that's what humans do want to do. And I want to talk to you about that because it's really simple to go work on the things we're good at.
This is really about comfort. There's comfort in that. We all want comfort. It's why we buy toppers for the bed. It's why we buy slippers that feel great. I mean, whatever, we live in an age where we can gain comfort in almost any realm we can consider. And in skill development, in golf, comfort feels like, oh, I hit my 4 hybrid, the best of the driving range. So I'm going to go hit that for 2 hours.
Right.
Because it's comfortable. It makes us feel good. And yet we can clearly see based on an assessment like this, that we have a gap in our skill set, but it's painful and it's struggle. And so we set that aside and we don't do it.
Right.
That's because it's not comfortable.
Right.
And I think I'm working with a player. He's a college player at a Division I program. Absolute range rat, absolutely loves it and smokes it on the range. And I've basically said, look, no more range, get off the range. That's your comfort space. If you want to play better in the tournaments, and you look at this kid and you're like, he should be winning tournaments. And he's a first year player, by the way. His swing is that amazing. And yet what he's now learning to do is put himself in discomfort out there rather than being comfortable on the range. And I think this is a perfect example of that.
So talk about that. So let's talk about this for a little bit. First of all, how can we get through the ego deal? How can we get through that? So give us some insights on how to get through that, because that's just, first of all, it's just typically male driven, but it is because I teach a lot of ladies and so on. And most of the time they're not, it's funny. We'll go do an assessment like this and I'll watch all the people out there, and the guys are the only ones that are looking, what's he doing there? What's he doing over here? What's he doing? Looking at us behind us. The ladies are just kind of in their own zone, doing their own thing, kind of focusing on what they're doing, kind of just worrying about themselves. Whereas the guys are like, is he doing better than me? Is he doing better than me? That's number one. So, that's an ego issue. Number two is that most ladies that I work with, there is expectations, but it's not near the level of guys. And maybe it's just different expectations. Expectation to have fun, expectation to enjoy the day, expectation to enjoy the company, whatever it is. Okay. I'm saying that because yes, there is some extremes, but so whenever I say it's usually the guy talk. Okay.
Totally.
Okay. So how can you get through that? Because everybody in here sitting in a room in front of 20 people can sit there and say, yeah, I'm going to get better at this. I'm going to let the ego. But when you put it into play, it's hard. It's really hard.
It is. Yeah. And there's a really simple construct that I think is very important to understand, is that the best players out there, the best players that we see out there who develop their skills faster than anybody else, or the fastest, are the ones who, when they step into a performance arena, what they're trying to do is elevate their skill set. Like, that's literally their purpose. The rest of us, the mistake we make is that we're trying to prove our competencies. We're not trying to elevate our competency. And it's the same feeling like, we're at a school here, and it's very typical. I get this. We see this all the time. So we're in an environment where you all are at your hitting stations, and we're prompting you to work through different things. And there's an amazing staff here of very smart people that walk up and down the range. And I know you feel this when we step behind you, and you feel our presence, and what you're trying to do, what switches in your mind. You might be working on something and trying to elevate your skills, but the minute that you feel our presence, you switch to proving versus simply elevating, right? And I think that's a perfect example of how the ego shows up for us. And we just simply have to let that go. We have to commit to being in a performance environment where we're elevating our skill set, not trying to prove it. I think that's an important distinction.
Oh, I love that, because I think everybody here knows this, because I'm pretty deliberate. I'm pretty radical about it, but I've always said that when everybody says something to me and says, how did you do that or whatever? Because I say I take it as a challenge. I don't take it as an ego. I try not to. I mean, of course I do, but I take it as a challenge. I love challenges. And then the second thing is that beyond the challenge, I sit there and say, I know I go in with a no excuse attitude. And when you go in with a no excuse attitude, I know I'm only going to be as good as my worst part of the game. So, and that always comes out, that always comes to fruition. So, and when I get to certain levels, that worst part of the game just magnifies when I'm out there.
And I think, and if I could interject, I think what you're talking about too is when you say, I take it as a challenge, in a way you're saying to yourself, I am curious about how good I can be in this moment. Not sure how good I can be in this moment, but it's a challenge and I accept it. And I'm going to see how good I can do in this moment. I love that.
Well, Ralph and I were just talking. Ralph, I'm calling the professor, we're just outside when you guys are doing the assessments, we were talking. And Ralph, we got to the same topic, and Ralph's, we had that conversation this morning about, me getting on the golf course yesterday, hitting shots in the course yesterday. And Ralph commented, he said again, he goes, the biggest thing we see with the golfers in here is that they never go play on the golf course. They always try to go score on the golf course. I go play on the golf course. When I say I play golf, I truly play golf. The only time I keep score if it's in competition. And most of the time, I'm not even really sure what I score. I mean, if I'm playing really good, I don't really know till I add it up at the end. It's really true if I'm playing good. But I never keep score on the golf course. Even when I'm playing with my buddy, I don't keep score. I go out there and play. And so I'll hit a shot 3 or 4 times. I'll try this, I'll try that. And when you don't keep a score, and this is what Ralph and I were talking about, you don't get as upset because you're not adding them up. So I can free myself up and completely miss a shot, and who cares? And that freedom allows me to then gain insight, gain intellect, gain whatever you want to call it, feel, touch, whatever you want to call it, to be able to do it again. But until you can free yourself up to do that, that's why Todd and I built a 6-hole golf course that you can play 1,000 different ways that people say, do you have a scorecard? No, we don't want a scorecard. We want you to be able to go out there and hit every shot you can imagine, have fun and go. So unless you can do that, I don't think there's certain levels you can get in golf. I know there isn't.
Yeah. And I think that now, there are some practicalities that everybody in this room, if you're playing at a regular course, you're playing in a league, you're playing at your club, there are requirements that say, hey, you have to submit your scores. We get that, right? You're keeping your GIN and your index and so forth. Like we amateurs like us, we have that constraint, if you will. But I think that what Tim is saying is really important, because I think it's this idea of we can separate the score from our identity. Like that's extremely important, because we get stuck a lot. How many, by the way, if you think about this, how many times have you been out on the course and you have I'll say it this way, the worst round ever? How does that shape the rest of your day? Right? It's like, it's the cloudiest storm.
Home, you kick the dog.
You kick the dog, exactly. Right. We know that, right? That's because in that experience, you're tying your identity to that score. Oh, I shot 7 shots over my handicap today. What an idiot I am. Right. And so I think a really important and productive exercise is to really work on separating the two. I am not my score. And using language, very clear language with yourself and your inner dialogue around, I'm not my score. I'm going to let what happens happen today. In fact, I worked with a guy at UC San Diego years ago named Peter Kirchmer, and he's a mindfulness meditation guy, super cool. And one of my favorite quotes from his work is, "May I want what wants to happen today." Think about that for a minute.
Okay. Say it again.
May I want what wants to happen today. It gets a little meta. But of course, his point is what is going to happen today is going to happen. Why not choose to be in alignment with that? Because it keeps us present and it keeps us swinging freely. Yeah. Otherwise, we're in struggle.
I love it. And I think myself personally, that's me personally, I take the struggle excuse out and say it's a challenge, because to me, is a challenge a struggle? Absolutely. But when I say it's a challenge for me, it's something that it means I'm not there yet.
It's very different.
It means that it's probably going to be semi-difficult, or it's going to be some work to get there. But I try to make that challenge exciting.
And you have a passion for that. See, right. That's where we have to flip the switch and say, we can either show up to hit a shot that we didn't want to shoot, that didn't want to hit. We wished we wouldn't have had to hit. It's in the trees. It's in the bunker, right. Wherever it is. And a lot of people show up and they're like, oh God, there's this thing again. Right. And they put themselves into struggle because of their mindset. But you're talking about, all right, let's see here. Let's go.
Right.
It's a challenge. And that's you bring passion to that moment versus fear or anxiousness. And that's the shift.
Also part of the reason why, there's the old saying that you always try to play with players that are better than you. Try to play with players that are significantly better than you. And they say that and it's hard to do, because especially for guys, because that ego just takes a beating. You go out there and you just get, they're kicking you all over the golf course. But I enjoy it. And I do try to play with players that are better than me, especially in competition. But I enjoy it because I always look for that one or two shots out there that they play that I'm like, okay, I don't got that. That was awesome. And I want to go work on that. I want to go try that. You know what I'm saying? I mean, and it's like, that was amazing. And I'm looking for that out there, because 90% of the time it's like, yeah, I can do that. I can do, you know what I'm saying? But all of a sudden they'll pull off a shot, they'll hit a shot. It's like, okay, that was amazing. And I'm looking for those out there.
What's really cool about that is think about the times you go out and play and you're playing in a match and there's where score matters and so forth. And you're playing against one of your club members or somebody in your league, whatever that is. Think about how many times you go out there and you're like, I got to beat this guy. I hope he misses it. All of these thoughts that we have that are tied to the binary of winning and losing, right? It's super normal, right? It's part of what we do. Imagine if you flip that and you're like, I am so excited to play with Dave today because he's got these shots that I don't have, and I want to see it up close because it will make me a better player. Imagine if we step into that match with that kind of a mindset. It's completely different. Yep. And that's the kind of stuff those are the kind of shifts that we can actually make.
Well, it's very interesting though that I've seen, and when I do my qualifiers, so I go out there and play in some of the matches I play in and things I play in, I get opportunities to play with Champions Tour players. I get opportunities to play with PGA Tour players, but I always look at those guys. Okay, these guys are overpowering the golf course now, and that's not. And I can say this, I'd love to do that, but that's so beyond reality check anymore. But when I go play the Champions Tour players, I can do that. And when I go play with them, it's so funny because I'll play around the golf with them, and these guys, in my mind, are significantly better than me. But when you get done the round, it's like, that wasn't that impressive. It wasn't that big a deal. It's like, I didn't see all these unbelievable shots out there. It was like, but it was just repetitive. It was like, they didn't miss it big. They didn't miss it. They missed it less. Does that make sense?
100%.
And you're seeing, you think you would see more. It's like, it's all of a sudden, oh my gosh, I can't believe I could never hit that shot. You never see that. It's like, they missed it less. They didn't miss it quite as extreme. They didn't make the big mistake. They made a couple more putts. It's like, it's really small, minor things. And you realize you add that together and it's a big deal.
It really is. And all of the data that the PGA Tour started collecting 15 years ago has led to this sea change in how we look at golf. And here's a perfect example. And I love that you talked about this. And it really goes to this idea of expectations. And what we've learned over the years, based on all the data, is that the difference between a 90 and a 72 is not about making more birdies. Yeah. It's about not making more bogeys, right? It's about bogey avoidance versus making more birdies. So what a different way to think about that, right? So we don't have to make birdies. We just have to be smarter about getting out of trouble faster and not making bogeys. And so like the things like the Tiger 5 and that becomes the way versus I got to make birdies. And so the pressure comes off.
And you look at the numbers, it says, that's why I'm a numbers guy, but that's why we rolled into it, because the average number of birdies, I looked at everybody in here and some people probably didn't know it, but I said, and tour player, and they play a round of golf, PGA Tour player, what's the average number of birdies they make per round? It's less than 3. It's 2.7 birdies a round. And everybody like, and TV golf completely lies to you. They're out there making 9 and 10 birdies. You think, they make 6 or 7 birdies a round. No, they don't. But what's the average number of bogeys they make a round? 1, 2, 3. You guys follow me here. It's the bogey avoidance. It's the double bogey avoidance. It's the blow up hole avoidance.
As we record this, the number 1 player on the PGA Tour right now, number 1 in FedEx Cup points, Jacob Bridgman, is number 1 in bogey avoidance.
There you go.
And he's number 1 strokes gain putting. And he's number 1 in 3-putt avoidance.
Yeah.
There you go.
That's what it comes down to.
And he's printing money.
He said that yesterday. He's printing money.
He's printing, as they say.
So tell him. So again, ends with some advice here. Let's end with some advice. So I want everybody in this room, I want everybody that's associated with Greatest Golf to be doing assessments continually on their game. I'm not talking, do it every single day. I mean, do it routinely. I like to do it routinely, but do assessments. You do assessments so the fundamental principle of this is you either keep your stats while you play golf. People don't play that much golf, so you can do the assessments or the games off of the golf course, on the range, the putting. Okay. You then figure out where your weakest part of the game is. You contact your coach and you say, okay, let's work on this. Whether we send in videos, whether we talk about it, we just do some more drills on it. We work on that area of the game. And then we bring that area of the game up into where we think it should be and then go to attack our next weakest point. Okay. But that's not easy to do. Okay. So we're going to end this with you giving them some advice.
Okay. Yeah. I think it's normal and it's understandable. And I talk a lot about how the brain works and how we have to overcome some of the things that are part of our wiring as human beings. Right. And so one of the reasons that I think we shy away from an assessment exercise like this on a regular basis is because it feels a little painful. It reveals the part of us that's like, boy, that's just not as good. And I don't want to sit with that too long, right? Understand that. The shift that we can all make in this is that what a gift this exercise is. I love doing this because it helps me understand what I need to work on, and then I can go and simply work on it. So the shift in mindset is from fear to passion, from fear to, in my model, right, from the bandit of fear and anxiousness around actually doing it, and perhaps even the inner turmoil around identity that's like, oh, we have to come to terms with, I'm not as good as I thought I was, right? The shift from that is to the passion that is like, oh my gosh, this is awesome. I have the answer to the test. I just need to go take it.
Yep. So answer me this, because this is what I did. And I kind of fell into a trap. And so help me through this one. So I went and did an assessment, and let's say you'd score 15 points to be a scratch player. And let's say a 10 handicap was 12 points. I'm just throwing this out. And 20 handicap was maybe 8 points. Okay. And I'd score 7 points. And I'd say, okay, by the end of this week, I'm going to score 13 points. That's my goal. Okay. Which is good.
Love it. Yeah.
You don't reach that goal a couple of times. Instinctively, we do what?
Oh, we quit. And that's why in my model, in my mental game model, grit beats quit, right? So it's part commitment. It's a cousin to commitment. But it's also understanding that this is the journey. The journey of development is not linear. It's not a straight line. Right. It's not, right? We work at it. We have a plateau. We work at it. We have a plateau. And then we make gains, and we have to trust that the work we're doing is productive,
right?
And it will get us to where we want to. And we've got to stay in it.
And that's why we talk about working with the coach, but because it helps you become productive and get in the right direction.
100%.
But golf and it's life, but golf in general, it doesn't just go straight down linear. There's a zig and a zag, and hopefully over time it's going down.
100%.
or getting better.
Yeah.
So I say going down, scores.
Yeah. Scores are coming down. Right.
But it goes this way. So, but I think be careful setting the goal, saying in the week, I want to do this, or in 2 weeks, I want to do that. I like it because you put extra work in. I do like that because I know when I set a goal, I'd go bust to try to reach that goal. But I also know I fell into traps that I wouldn't get there. And it became frustrating for me. It's like, so I think the goal is improvement every time, or try to improvement every time. Because I know if they just did the assessments, if that's all you did, was the assessments and did them all, you'd be so much better in a month or two. It'd be scary because you're improving every part of the game then. Whether it's the putting assessment, chipping, the pitching, whatever, and people just don't do them. That's why it became frustrating to me. Because when I put this out, and it took a lot of work putting this stuff out. This is what I actually got my Class A PJ and was doing the numbers game on this stuff. So I actually used this for me in the past. And then I got to correlate this out, and people just didn't do it. They just stopped doing it. They said, and coaches couldn't get to do it. Ralph came to me and goes, just put videos out there, show them how to do this thing. That's why we did our single plane university, this unit on that. I just wanted to get the insight from a mental game coach of why not?
Yeah, and totally. And keep in mind too, is that most skill development at any level is incremental. It's not about making leaps. And so resetting the brain around, all right, how this is actually going to unfold, I think is super important because that really goes to expectations. You're going to make, the goal is incremental, little baby, 1% better, 1% better. That's how this really happens.
I love it. Any questions or comments in here? Have you got any you want to say or anything? Because we're sitting in front of 20 students here. They got really quiet all of a sudden. I just kept looking out to make sure you guys weren't asleep. So we good? So you guys would think it'd be easy to do the assessments? Right. Ralph, what do you say all the time about easy? What is it? Simple and easy are two different things. It's a talk he gives you for every one of our schools. Simple and easy are two different things. And I love that. And that's what you're saying. I love that. If you don't reach your goal, don't give up. Yeah. Right. Yeah, 30 to something. 30 to 40. No, I'm teasing. Okay. Okay. I love that. Sure. I think it's great to set goals, and Paul and I have talked about this a lot. And you talked about setting goals. I think it's great to set goals and numerical goals and dream big, but continually reevaluate those goals because life does get in the way. Okay. So, like, let's say you set that, you said 6 months from now, I want to be a 15 handicap and I'm a 30. I'm going, sweet. And the coaches are all going, I love it. This guy's dedicated. He wants to, and they're going to give you, they'll help you they'll come up with a quote plan. They'll help you get there. Okay. But in a month, check it. A couple weeks, check it. And all of a sudden you're sitting there going, well, my so-and-so I couldn't do this because I got tied up here. Work got in the way. I couldn't do this. All of a sudden, don't get frustrated. Say, okay, I just got to reevaluate these goals. I got to reset them maybe. But continually reset them if you have to. And I know Paul talks about this a lot. So
yeah,
go ahead.
Yeah. I think there's I learned from a mentor of mine. He says, if you're not getting the results that you're looking for, look to the systems that you're using to achieve those results. And a lot of the times when I work with clients, I will ask the question, well, what's your system for this or that? Knowing that they have no system.
Right. Right.
And then they kind of get to this, I don't really have a system. Right. It's like kind of like that. So even the simple things that aren't necessarily easy, to Ralph's point, if we want to achieve the things we want to achieve, it's about creating a system to do that. So that might mean every Monday, my Apple Watch goes off and it's my alarm to check in with my process and to check 3 things, whatever that might be. That becomes a system. That's what I mean by creating systems for your own development.
Since you brought it up, how important do you think it is to write down the goals? How important do you think that is?
Hey, we had a conversation couple of us the other day about writing things down. It's one of the brilliant things I think that happens at any Graves Golf Academy school that you've ever attended is the first thing you get handed, the first thing that's at your place is the notebook and the pen. And there's just been far too many studies that help us understand that there's magic that happens when we write things down. This thing that happens in our brain that actually processes at a sort of a subconscious level when we write things down. So writing down goals. Look, we've done this. I've done this in my personal life and in my professional life. I will write things down. I will never look at it again. And the thing like magically happens. I don't know what to tell you. Yeah. It's amazing.
No, it is.
So yeah, write things down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. The physical motion. Yeah. 100%.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a good point. There's a difference between a goal and a wish.
Right. Anybody else got any questions for Paul on this? Yeah. Yes, sir. Enjoy the assessments. Yep. Uh-huh. Yeah. And believe it or not, after we get done this podcast, we're going to show you ways to celebrate the failures. we're going to talk about that. We're going to give you we're going to do some work, which is actually some really fun work. But no,
that's great.
I loved you said enjoy a lot of times in there. That was
enjoy. Exactly. The mind shift of, hey, I'm going to enter this process with literally like joy in my heart about what this gift of the assessment is. And then what was the last part, Tom? Again, say that last one. It was, yes, exactly. See your failures in a different way because the failure will teach you something. Yeah, that's great.
Mo Norman, that every shot's a good shot as long as it teaches you something. Every shot's a good shot as long as it teaches something. And everybody hits a lot of what you would say is a bad shot. He said that all the time. The two biggest things I remember Mo saying, I mean, he said a lot of quotes and a lot of things, but every shot's a good shot if it teaches us, as long as it teaches you something. And then we used to bring Mo out to schools when he could able to do it. And this is when Mo was, when he was still doing ball striking demonstrations and so on and so forth. And he'd walk behind the students at times. And the students would be sitting there. So you guys think it freaks you out, us being behind you? Have Mo stand behind you. Okay, so think about that. Okay, but he'd get behind you and somebody turn around and say, what should I do, Mo? And Mo go, get out of your own way. Get out of your own way. You'd have it if you get out of your own way. Get out of your own way. He'd always say that. That's all he'd say. Get out of your own way. And then he'd always say this. He'd say, it's so much easier than you're making it. And once you figure it out, you're going to realize how difficult you actually made it on yourself. And to me, that was 99% mental. You follow me here. Was how hard you made it on yourself because you got in your own way. So, and I can hear, that was 20 some years ago. It's like he said that yesterday. Get out of your own way. And it's so much easier than we make it on ourselves. We good? Yes, sir. Mm-hmm. 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 Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And how many videos have you sent your coach on putting? How many videos have you sent your coach on putting? None in the conversation. Why have you not sent a video to the coach on putting? Why have you not said, I'm asking you a question. You said you don't do well in this caliber. You haven't gotten any better. So it means something's going on in your putting stroke. Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. 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 Excalibur is not easy. It was meant to be hard. Meant to be hard. So I look at it as a challenge. You're looking at it as something that's difficult versus easy. I look at it as a challenge. I'll pull it up in front of you right now and make 6 in a row. Okay. I don't look at it as, oh man, this thing is so hard. I fear this thing. I don't look at it that way. If I get a good stroke, I'll do just fine. That's great. But if you don't do well in the Excalibur, it's showing that you're not hitting down the line. There's a fundamental flaw in your putting stroke. There's something wrong. The face isn't square. The path isn't right. There's something wrong in your stroke. Because the Excalibur is just a piece of plastic you're hitting down. Nothing more than that. Okay? So there's something wrong. So if there's something fundamentally wrong with your stroke, why have you not sent a video to your coach and say, hey, can you help me with this? And then maybe I'll make 1 out of 5, or maybe I can make 1 in a row, 2 in a row. Does that make sense? So you got to look at that as, take it as a tool that's showing you like an assessment. And that's the way I built the Excalibur. Guys, I could have put it on a mat with a line and said, hey, just putt down that. This is easy. Anybody can do this. And what made it boost all your ego? No. I wanted to sit there. There's 17 different areas that are checked on the Excalibur. 17 different things that are checked on the Excalibur. I bet you guys can't say 3 or 4 of them. There's 17 things checked on the Excalibur. Okay. And if you're fundamentally doing a fundamental wrong, it's going to highlight, pop up, and exaggerate on the Excalibur. But guess what? You get in the golf course, you're nervous. You get in the golf course, you get over an unusual situation, it's going to pop up too. And so all of a sudden you don't make that 3 foot or that 4 foot or that 5 foot you're supposed to. That's why we made the Excalibur. People call it the devil's sword. And when you sit there and go, ha, 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 well, what's that mean? I guarantee me they don't use it. So it's not a hard tool to use if you got a really good stroke. But now, okay, you don't have a good stroke. How do I fix this? What do I got to do? It's not going to fix it for you. You got to get some help, figure it out. Is the ball not in a good position? Are you hitting down on the ball? Are you cutting across? Is your face open? Is your face closed? Are you flipping at it? Are you casting it? And I can say, I don't know. Unless I see your stroke and can physically help you. And that's what a coach can do like that. It would take 10 seconds to film a punny stroke and send it to coach to work on it. 10 seconds. That coach could tell you probably 2 or 3 things you got to fix like that, which is only the most important part of the game. Sure. Obviously, you guys never sent short game videos in. It's only 75% of your scoring. Good idea, folks. And you wonder why you can't get better at the game. Seriously. It doesn't make any sense. So think about it, 75% of the game and you guys send in videos, only less than 5% of the game is full swing. You put mental game in there. You put short game in there. Put course management in there. Such a small part of it's the full swing. It's unbelievable. Unbelievable. And then we can get into the topic we will later about how when you have a good short game, how it eases up the long game. It makes it so much more freedom to play. And how it eases it up when you have a good short game. But if you don't develop a good short game, you'll never free up the long game. You'll be so tied up, you won't be able to create a good long game because you'll be so antsy and so nervous over every shot because you don't have freedom out there because the short game will save you. That's why you guys are here. You guys, if you had done this right, you wouldn't need us. Do you understand? I have 5 or 6 coaches sitting over here that are master instructors for me. Our goal is for you guys not to need us. Do you guys all understand that? We like seeing you. We enjoy it. You're here, but we want you to be able to go out and not need us. Or take the game in places you've only dreamed of, whatever you want to talk about. And that's the number one thing is you sit there and you work on the full swing all the time. And it's like, it's not the scoring part of the game. Now you want to, guys, over 19 million, and we can end this, but over 19 million golfers that claim to be golfers have never stepped foot in a golf course. Welcome to New Age Golf. You can look this up. National Golf Foundation printed this out. It's actually 19.1 million golfers that claim to be golfers don't step on a golf course. They play simulators. They do virtual reality golf. They go to Top Golf. You guys follow me here? It's become the in vogue thing. So you want to do that? Sure. Just work on your swing because you're not scoring it the way we score when we go on the golf course. But you want to step on a golf course and go shoot better tomorrow than today, or go beat your buddy, or go have fun because you're done by score. You better understand how the game is scored. And that's what we're trying to do here for you guys. And when you understand that, you can get better really fast and take these places you've only dreamed of. We good? I think we should give Paul some round of applause. I have a hard time getting him in here. So thanks, Paul. I appreciate it. Bud.
All right. Thanks, Tim.